And then I've been watching that TV show Fringe, and I can't tell you. It's second season. It's near the end of second season. The one that the episodes I watched yesterday, and I think I watched one this morning. Uh, they are starting to activate that character Olivia. I really like this show. I watched at least part of it before, and I can't remember. I don't think I got all the way into it before I was getting sick down there with what was going on when I was working at GM. But some of these I remember watching, some of them I don't. And there's this character in there, a very, very. I think she even still looks pretty good now, like 20 years later. This happened after September 11th because part of the thing in the show is the Twin Towers came down in our world, but in the parallel world, it was the White House and the Pentagon that got taken out. It wasn't the Twin Towers. And so when they go into the other world, they actually have flashbacks to where the Twin Towers are still up and running. And but it's this Australian actress, I think, who is incredibly fucking hot. I think she still looks good now. And there was that. And they experimented on her as a kid. Think of like Stranger Things, the Montauk. It was that kind of shit. Well, they basically got her to where she could tell stuff that had come from the other world. There'd be like a shimmer to it because uh, it was just a little off. It was out of phase with our world because it was from another world. Quantum, some kind of a quantum signature that she could see. And when they activated her again as an adult, because she could see it as a kid, and when they got it activated again, she saw the one character. It's the Professor Bishop's son. She saw him shimmering. And the other thing is, there's a character in there. She's pretty fucked up. She's got like prosthetic arms. She's pretty damaged. Well, what you find out is there was an episode where and I think it was right after she saw him shimmering. It might have been before, but they they went back and they had him, the professor as a younger man. His son was sick and dying, and he was showing off to the military people, and they wanted Professor Bell, who's Leonard Nimoy's character, and he goes, "Oh well, he's in Europe right now. He can't be here." And this would have been back like in the 80s, I think. And what happened was he was showing them like cell phone technology. And then they're asking him, because he's telling them they're American technology, but they're from just a different planet. But he let them know you can't possibly go there. It's impossible to go there. They go, well, how did you get him? He goes, I copied him, and he showed them. It's like a little flat screen TV. It ain't exactly, but they can actually look into the other world like a TV set. And wherever you point it, it's meant to be mobile. Wherever you point it, it'll show you what's going on at that location in the other world. And then he was talking to someone, and he let him know. He goes, well, yeah, we can't let the military go, or they'll want to invade. And then he said that would cause a lot of damage. Well, he had no idea of how to cure his son when his son got sick. And apparently it was something, because this came up in an earlier episode. It came out that there was somebody that had cured something like it, or had cured it, but like from 100 or so years ago. And so Bishop had created a teleportation device that could snatch somebody out of time and space, because he was looking to basically go and teleport this guy from like 15th century to modern day so he could cure his kid. And before he could do that, he found a way to cure his son. Well, he really didn't. His son died. And then what he was doing is he was watching on this TV screen, and he saw that, they're, in some ways they were more technologically advanced in the other world. And so what was happening was he was watching this guy experiment on a cure for his son. And he noticed that the guy did it. But the guy was distracted because one of these little bald-headed watchers, and I don't know if they're alien from the future or robots or whatever, but one of them distracted him. So he did not see that he had discovered it. So Dr. Bishop apparently had never intended on kidnapping his son's doppelganger in the other world. He had just barely went to go grab him, cure him, and then give him back. And as soon as his wife saw the kid, he couldn't do it, so they kept the kid. So this kid that he raised since he was like 8 was from the other world. And that, I think, is why the other world is getting ready to fuck with us, because they probably want to make him pay for what he did to that guy's kid. And so there was that one where you actually got to see what had happened. Well, that one girl that's all fucked up with the prosthetic limbs and everything, well, when he opened that portal, she was standing in the wrong place, and so her whole body got fucked up. That's how that happened. And then the other episode that was kind of interesting, it had the guy who played RoboCop, Peter Geller, I think might be his name, but it's the guy who played RoboCop. He was also in Odyssey 5 on Showtime, I think. And he was another scientist. He came after Professor Bishop. Professor Bishop is somebody he had found out about while he was in school. He was a teacher at MIT and all this. Well, what happened was his wife died, or fiancée died, someone he really, really loved. And he was basically building the ability to time travel so he could go back and rescue her. And he was basically turning himself into a cyborg. He was putting like computer equipment, engineering equipment right into his body. He had some kind of something that acted like a Faraday cage built into his arms to shield him from the outside and to shield the outside from what's going on in his body. And Professor Bishop went, and he was all wired up. The FBI had him all wired up, and then at a certain point he just unhooked it. And he was explaining to this guy's like, look, I will tell you how to do it, but just understand that, there was a time back in the 80s where I did something that was considered impossible, and he goes, I have been paying for it ever since. And he said he never, up until he did that, he never really believed in God. And what happened was, he never really believed in God, and he said, now every day I wait to see signs that God has forgiven me. And he goes, what's that? He goes, I wait to see see a tulip. And he goes, well, tulips don't, they don't, grow this time of year because it's winter or whatever, or they don't grow here. And he goes, well, the way I look at it, if one shows up, then I'll know God's forgiven me, especially when it's not possible. But he warned this guy. He goes, if you actually go back to save your wife, it's not going to be what you think. And then what happened was he went back, and he seemed to make it. He went back, and he had a letter and some other stuff. And Well, then he got back in time. He went. She was walking to her car. He's like running to catch her. And he gets in the car. She's happy to see him. He kisses her arm. Well, he distracted her. So she didn't start the car. She didn't move it forward. And the car ran into her while she was parked. He caused her to die. He didn't know. Either that or he changed it and it didn't matter. She still got killed. But, and then what happened was timeline had apparently changed because in the future, his boss, someone he worked for, she said that she thought she might have been his only friend after his fiancée died. And she was opening a letter, and inside the letter was another envelope, and it was addressed to Dr. Bishop. And one of her colleagues came in. He goes, "Oh, he goes, you haven't talked about that in years." She goes, "Well, today was the day I was supposed to open it." And he goes, "Well, open that letter, read it." She goes, "No, if he'd have wanted me to read it, he wouldn't have sealed it up." And so then it got delivered to Dr. Bishop, and what it was a hand-drawn tulip. And that's pretty much how they ended the episode. I really like that show, but yeah, I'm going to basically just stream for as long as I can, do like an ASMR stream. I'm going to putz around. Some of it's going to be like yesterday where I'm just going to be hanging out, waiting for crops to grow, getting some odds and ends done around here. For anybody that's checking this out later, I really appreciate it. Hope everybody's having a good leftover from the holidays. Looking forward to the new year. Peace out, and I hope everybody has a great